You are listening to Co-Create Your Life. In this podcast, we delve deep into the law of attraction, dispel common misconceptions, and give our listeners the tools they need to build a magical, purposeful existence in their everyday lives. Reclaim the creative power you already possess and join us at co-creationcoaching.org/create. That's co-creationcoaching.org/create.
Welcome to Co-Create Your Life. This is episode 24, Can Resistance Come from Your Past Lives? I am Brandon Oliveras.
And I'm Christine Oliveras.
And I'm Justin Williams.
And today we are talking about a topic that I find fascinating. I think it hasn't been talked about too much in the past or at all. And that is whether resistance can have its source in one of your past lives. So before I get started with all that, let's make some announcements. If you'd like to see the show notes for this podcast, you can go to co-creationcoaching.org/create024. And if you'd like to ask a question that will be answered, probably not in the podcast, but the reader's questions, you can go to co-creationcoaching.org/ask and submit your question there. So, once again, we have our segment, Quote of the Week. We need like a deep voice to say that. Quote of the Week.
I can do that.
You just can do that. You're the deepest voice. All right, so this week's quote comes from Edgar Cayce. You know much about him, Justin?
I do. I've read several of his books.
Yeah, I was going to say, you strike me as someone who'd be really interested in his stuff. Mm-hmm. So I've been reading a book about past lives, and a lot of the quotes came from him. So there were some really good ones that I could pick out from there. All right, so here is the quote. For each soul meets itself in that phase of its experience in which the errors occurred that bring the results or the effects in the present. It's a little arcane, I guess. That's a lot of how his stuff is. But it ties in really well because that's discussing past lives. Meet ourselves from our past lives where we made, well, he says errors. I don't really think it's errors per se, but we'll talk about that later. But, so I think that quote really relates to what we're going to be talking about today.
At least most of it.
No, it does. He's talking about past lives.
I know that. I
don't 100% agree with, exactly how he said it. All right, so again, we're talking about past lives. And I've touched on this topic before with reincarnation and such, but I just haven't talked about how that ties into the law of attraction. What really amazes me with this topic is, I'm reading this book. Actually, don't remember.
Karma is a big pain or something?
Thank you. Karma is a real pain.
Oh, real pain. Not a big pain.
Not a big pain. And so I'm reading this book now, and it's all about people whose physical maladies came from past lives. And this author has other books as well that are, about more mental, emotional issues. But this one is about physical issues and how they, stem from past lives. And a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people, when they go back to that past life and they see how it came about, can have massive improvement. And so that's a really interesting thing.
And scars can come from there. You can see scars.
And scars, birthmarks.
Really interesting.
Random, phantom pains, even psychosomatic pains sometimes.
Oh, huh.
Can all come from one's past lives. And, it kind of follows that if your physical issues can come from past lives, then probably so can your resistance, so can your subconscious programs. One thing that's always been very apparent to me, very obvious, has been that, we aren't blank slates when we come into this world. I mean, Christine, what was it you were talking to me about a baby that... Didn't you tell me something recently?
You're not really specific.
About, babies. Just general babies. No, about a baby who had like a certain fear for no apparent reason. Didn't you tell me about something?
No.
Oh, someone did. Anyway.
Well, there was one that a baby that had, I'd come up with something that I've read, was feared the shower. And what it was, when they figured out that he's like 1 or 2 years old, but they figured out that a long time ago in World War II, he was gassed. He was in a gas chamber. They did a past life regression, and he died in a gas chamber. So,
wow, that's really cool. Not cool, but it's interesting.
Jeez, you're heartless.
I'm heartless, No, but that's really interesting.
I don't think you told me about anything. It wasn't recent if I did.
Okay. No, I might have read it somewhere. But, but we're not blank slates when we come into this world. We have, you could have twins, absolute identical twins, who have completely different interests, completely different personalities sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes they're very similar, but there's always some difference. You could have a family with 5 kids and they would be completely different personalities. It's not, it's not just how they're raised. It's not just the environment. It's not just the stimuli they're exposed to. There's something different about each child that comes into the world.
Well, I have 2 sisters, and you wouldn't think we were any way alike.
Right,
like,
exactly.
We're really not. Jen and Francesca are alike, but me, I feel like I don't know. Where the heck did I come from?
Sure.
Well, because if those souls chose to come, so
right.
They've had different past life experiences. Maybe there's some similarity because you chose to be together, but maybe not. Maybe not.
Right.
Then
sure.
So they've had different past life experiences, so they all come here, and your sisters or brothers or whatever you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they can be completely different. And, we can have phobias that have no explanation. We can have all sorts of situations, all sorts of beliefs, all sorts of whatever that have no real reason that we can see in this life.
Well, you've had phobias even from a really young age.
Oh, yeah. I have, yeah.
That are unexplainable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you mind if I say?
No.
The bathtub?
Yeah. Water in general.
Water.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what happened.
Right. So, things like that can happen. But, so that points to past lives. And, of course, there are those children that remember their past lives. That's always really interesting.
Yeah, there's a series called The Ghost Inside My Child.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what channel it's on, because they changed the channel.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's about kids that remember their past life experiences. Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating.
Right.
And their parents believe them, and they try to get them help so they can deal with it, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely happens. So, again, those things can come from past lives. So, again, why shouldn't resistance? Why shouldn't your subconscious programs? A lot of times, yes, they'll be tracked back to usually an early childhood experience, right? But there are some that just have no explanation for why you have those in this life. You could have, for instance, a hard time dealing with money when your parents were very good with money, or vice versa. You could have you could be really good with money when your parents weren't. Like that's my situation. My mother is horrible with money, but yet I'm really good with it. I'm really logical and I know what to do with it. So you have things like that happening, beliefs that you just don't know where they came from. And so that's resistance that can definitely stem from a past life. So the reason I'm talking about this today is because there's this myth out there that some people believe that, especially this is something that's taught by Abraham, especially that basically you come into each life as a blank slate, okay? And that, basically you die in each lifetime and you go back to, what they call source, or you might call the universe or your higher self or whatever, and everything is wiped clean. All your old programs, all your old struggles, everything's wiped clean, everything's gone. And then you go into the next lifetime as a blank slate. That's what they teach. Now, the issue is that every past life researcher I know of, all research I've seen on past lives, disagrees with that. I've never seen one past life account that says, yeah, there's no carryover.
Wait a minute. Abraham says, what?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
No
just
joke.
absorbed what you just said. I could. It took a minute to.
No joke. No joke, yeah.
They're stupid. They're idiots.
Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, no joke. So, so that's what they teach. I don't know why they choose to hold that position. I have no idea. But yeah, Abraham thinks that we just start fresh each time. What would be the point of that? Why come back with a totally blank slate? That just makes no sense. I mean, what happens to all your unfinished business, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that? Why would your soul want to do that? So that's what they believe, and this is why I want to come today and talk about this, because a lot of people actually believe this sort of thing. And, that all the resistance is just in this life. There's nothing that carries over from the past. And that's it, so you don't have to worry about it. But look, your soul is possibly hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years old. I mean, you've been living for that long, okay? You've had, it depends who you ask, probably hundreds or thousands of lifetimes, okay? How could that possibly have no effect from one to the next to the next? The fact is that you are a constantly evolving, constantly developing being. You don't just get set back to zero at birth. All right? So that's what we have to realize, and that's what we have to deal with when we're working with a really tough issue. Let me talk about this. So let's say in your last lifetime, you have an issue with money. Okay? And, you just don't deal with it well, or something happened in your past life that we don't believe in success or whatever. Do you really think that you're going to die in that lifetime, you're going to be born in this one, and you're just going to effortlessly go and become a millionaire or something?
Why not? No, just kidding.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Why not? What the heck? That just can't happen. I mean, not without a lot of inner work. Okay? So what can happen sometimes, though, is that, you can maybe think, oh yeah, I can trace this back to this experience in my childhood. But guess what? What if you had that experience in your childhood because you had a past life where that was true for you? Okay? Because, one of the issues that Abraham gets really stuck on, that I think is explained really, really poorly, is why bad things can sometimes happen to children. Okay?
Oh, God. I don't want to know what they say.
They blame it generally on the parents. They'll say, well, the parents, might have had some bad thoughts during the pregnancy, or just, spoke, like the words they used affected the energy of the child, and so the child got this bad stuff that happened.
That can happen, but...
It can happen, but...
But not every time. So that's generally there. And the thing is, if we are creators, what kind of message does that give us? Oh yeah, you're creators, but hey, when you're really young, you're actually not.
You're screwed.
You're at the whim of your parents and what they tell you and what they give you. You know, that's the sort of message that I don't think is very useful. Right? So, you can have something that happens as a child that stems from a past life. You could have a family that, let's say, is poor or just whatever, and that doesn't mean, oh well, I just got stuck with that kind of family. It was just a random toss of the dice or whatever. It probably stems from, well, that is the kind of stuff you held in your past life, and so when you were born, you attracted the type of family that was a best match to the kind of stuff you still have to work with.
You chose it.
You chose it.
You kind of chose to do that.
Right, but it's also attracted. You have choice, but not unlimited choice.
The choices have to line up with your higher lessons, basically.
And with the stuff that you're dealing with from life to life. Right?
Yeah.
So, so you had that family, whatever the issue was, whether it was a money issue, whether it was a relationship, maybe your parents got divorced, maybe, whatever. And it may have been because that's the kind of stuff you needed to deal with. Okay, so your higher self saw before birth that, this is probably going to happen. I mean, look, your higher self isn't omniscient. Okay, it can't know every little event that's going to happen throughout your whole lifetime, but there are high probabilities. It can say, well, it looks like several years down the road, they'll get divorced, or they'll, lose the job, or this will happen, or that will happen, and that will set up the proper circumstances for what you need to deal with. What we need to deal with. The higher self is you. It's not like a separate being, but this will set up the circumstance what we need to deal with. And so you go into that life and you have those circumstances, and then that's your starting point. That's not necessarily your finishing point. You have, the power, and you're supposed to actually challenge those circumstances and create something new. But that's your starting point, right? So that is what happens. Each life affects other lifetimes. And not necessarily just the next one. In this book that I'm reading, and a lot of other research I've done, people have past life memories that go back hundreds or even thousands of years sometimes, and those lifetimes are still affecting them today. So it's not just like a linear step of like, well, because this happened in my past life, so this will happen in this life. It could be something that happened 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago.
Why does it manifest now?
You actually might have to deal with something today that happened, a very long time ago.
The way I see it, one of two possible reasons: either you still haven't dealt with it in all that time. Usually not that, because I'd be really stuck. I mean, talk about resistance, 2,000-year-old resistance.
Yeah.
But usually what'll happen, so your subconscious, and when I say subconscious here, I don't like the word that much, because the subconscious usually refers to a part of your brain that holds a lot of different memories and programs. There's an equivalent part of your soul that just holds all the experiences you've ever had. Okay, but let's just say your subconscious, because those parts connect, your subconscious is extremely, extremely deep. It has tons of different facets, tons of different areas and aspects to work with, right? And I've told this to people before, you're not going to have a time in this life where you're just like, oh yeah, everything's great. Because your subconscious, once one thing is done, then there's going to be something else. It's just how things go. Your subconscious is very broad. All right? So let's say there are themes, okay? And one life you could say, well, this is the theme I want to work on in this life. Now, in this theme, let's say relationship theme. Well, this life from 500 CE comes in here. This life from 1200 comes in here. This life from, 1500 comes in here, and so those are going to be the major connectors to this current life. Okay, because this is my major lesson I'm going to deal with. And so those are, if you were to have like a past life regression, those would be the major lifetimes that would come up. You're generally not going to have a totally unrelated lifetime come up when you do a past life regression. You're going to have those lifetimes that are most connected to the theme that you are dealing with in this life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually that's how it works.
If it's a money theme, a prosperity theme, then you could say, well, in this life, this happened, and I was really poor. In this life, I had money stolen from me. In this life, I got a big inheritance, whatever. And so all this is going to come together to inform what I'm dealing with in this current lifetime. Okay, so it's not just a linear path where you have to deal with what happened in one lifetime in the next or something. Sometimes that'll happen, but not necessarily. Like I said, there were people who had like over 2,000 years ago lifetimes that they were dealing with, right?
So could future lives be? Why aren't they doing future life regression or progressions?
Progressions. Well, that Brian Weiss does. I know you know that.
Yes, he does.
But I think I know time doesn't mean as much in the spiritual realm, but there is the past is, to me, more or less written. It's what's done, and we don't know the future yet. It's all,
unless we lived the future somewhere.
Right. It's all probabilities when you go into the future. You know what I mean? Like, it's just all, you just don't know what's going to happen. When you go into the Akashic Records and you go like 1,000 years into the future, there are major probability timelines, but nothing certain. So by definition, the future is what we haven't lived yet. You know what I mean? So,
well, because if we die now and go back to like the 1700s, well, he lived this one, so it's like, well, okay.
Possibly.
So
it's hard to say whether you could.
It's just an interesting
jump timelines.
Could there be future life problems too?
Right. You just don't know. And I've never seen someone who went back and said, well, in this year, in the future, I had this issue, and so it's affecting me today. Like, I've never seen that. We really don't know what could happen. You know what I mean?
Just a thought. I don't know.
So, the way I see it is that things line up in themes, in kind of topics that we deal with throughout time. And we work with those, So, and then we try to improve those. So that's why you could have something from thousands of years ago that's still influencing you today, not because it took you 2,000 years to deal with it, but because you just were dealing with other themes in the meantime. You know what I mean? Sometimes it could take several lifetimes to work through all aspects of a certain issue that you have, So that can definitely be the case. One of the people in the book I'm reading was, all the lifetimes that he knew of was in the military. Now, it doesn't mean that in every single lifetime he was in the military, but that's one of the themes he's working with. And, he's in the military in this lifetime too, and he was in the military in, like, Roman times, and he was in the military in, like, Civil War times. That's just his theme that he's working with, among some other ones too. So that's just kind of how it goes. But your subconscious is such a broad aspect of yourself that you can't, it's not just linear. It has all sorts of different parts of it that you can work with throughout each lifetime.
Reminds me of the book called My Name is Memory. Do you remember that one, Brandon? Where the guy was Daniel. His name was Daniel. He remembered every lifetime.
Yeah, he remembered every lifetime. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
That's neat, though.
It was just one big story. Like, it was linear. I'm pretty sure it was linear.
Yeah, it was.
From the very beginning till the present. And he remembered every lifetime.
Yeah.
Wait, what book was that? Was that a non-fiction or fiction book?
It's a fictional book.
Oh,
and unfortunately, they don't have... There should be a sequel, but there isn't.
That would be cool.
It's called My Name is Memory. It's by Amber Shares. It's really, really good.
Mm-hmm. So, that's definitely what can happen. But so when you're working with resistance, as I said, even though you could experience, you could see why it happened in this lifetime, how, you could trace it back to a certain experience or whatnot, doesn't necessarily mean that you weren't working with that same thing in a past life and that influence that attracted this circumstance in this life. So law of attraction can work across lifetimes, across many lifetimes. And, especially, this is one thing that's really stood out to me. Your last thought in life, from everything I've read, is supremely powerful.
Tell that one story.
I will. Or anything that has a lot of emotion. I'll tell a couple of stories. But just, for example, you could tell someone, that you never want to be apart from them. And that's almost a soul level promise that brings you together again and again and again. Because you say it, you feel it with such strong emotion that it karmically binds you. And you come together again and again and again.
That's awesome.
I was going to say, how many times have we said that same thing? Like, we never want to be apart.
Well, yeah, and it's like some of those books you read, like especially the Harry Dresden Files, they made a big deal about
series.
A mage's death curse.
Yeah.
Like, on your deathbed, when you're about to go out.
Yeah.
Or
right.
Or like other books the same way, The Curse of a Dying Mage. Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. Like, all right, so let me give an example. So there was, in this book I'm reading, there's a woman who had psoriasis almost over her whole body, basically. Very, very chronic, very chronic psoriasis. And so they did a regression, and she went back, and in the past life, she was a prostitute in the West, like, back in the Wild West days,
Hurdy-gurdy girl, huh?
And at the end of her life, she thought, I never want to be touched.
I don't want anyone to touch me.
I don't want anyone to touch me. I don't want anyone to touch me. Now, we know her intention was, she meant sexually, right? She didn't mean literally, I don't want anyone to touch me. But guess what? Guess how the universe took it.
What?
We know this. The universe is really literal.
Well, guess what? Nobody wants to touch you.
Yeah. So she got the psoriasis that kind of holds people away, and that was her thing. That was what happened. So that thought at the end of her life, thought with probably a lot of emotion, created this circumstance where, she has this condition. Just a general overall, like, I don't want to be touched. Well, here you go.
There you go. You didn't even call on anything to help you. You didn't call on no spirits, no deities. You just told the straight bare bones universe.
Yep. I don't want to
Let me tell you something. This is
anyone else to touch me. So, that is the kind of thing that can happen. That's law of attraction across lifetimes right there.
That's law of attraction at its best.
or worse. But
or worse. I was about to say, or worse.
Most potent, that's for sure. But
most potent. There you go.
Most potent. But
I want to think that God knew what I meant.
But that's see, your thing is you believe in a monotheistic God. The universe operates by laws, and when you tell the universe, when I say universe, I mean the force, non-personal part of it. You tell the universe something like that, it's going to respond. We're not, I know you're kind of like more Christian worldview is like, okay, we're all here and God is over everything and rules everything and makes decisions. But no, we have power to create. And when we say something so strong and literal,
that
I don't
same
want
God will still do it if you ain't careful.
Right. Like I don't want
Probably
anyone,
would.
I don't want anyone to touch me. The universe says,
Okay.
okay, done. Right?
Done.
Done.
Got you.
Or, you can see this in your current lifetime sometimes. Someone will say, something in a very, very strongly, and it'll happen very literally.
You gotta be careful what you say and what you think.
That's why I always tell you, Christine will say something in jest. I'm like, don't say that. Your words are powerful.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you just mad and fling it out there, any old thing will catch it, man.
Yes. I mean, there are examples of people who say, like, this person's a pain in my neck or, whatever, and then they get neck pain. That's...
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And your words are powerful, so you want to be careful with that. So that... that's how the law of attraction works. Your powerful words, your powerful thoughts go out there and bring that situation back to you, whether that's in this life or the next. Right? So that happens. Now...
Hopefully her psoriasis cleared up.
Yeah, I know. She didn't really say if it did or not. I'm hoping so. So one of the things I really want to point out is we have this scary idea of karma, and it comes from the Hindu perspective or the Buddhist perspective of karma and how it works as judgment, as good karma, bad karma, whatever. Okay? And karma, especially like in the quote, Edgar Cayce says, your errors, those times the errors occurred. Karma isn't a punishment system. It's not a reward system. It's not like, well, you were bad in that lifetime, so now you have to deal with this psoriasis or something. You know what I mean? This is a perfect example. The universe did not give her psoriasis in punishment for her being a prostitute. Okay? In that story. That is not how it works. That is not how it works. It gave her psoriasis because she drew that experience to her through her powerful thoughts. That's karma. Karma is just another word basically for attraction. What you attract. Who you are and what that means for you. Because who you are goes out there and draws to you powerful experiences. Right? So that is what happens even across lifetimes. If you have a certain issue in one lifetime and you don't fix it, then it's going to cross over. So sometimes it can look like punishment. If you did something to someone in a lifetime and you feel really guilty, that probably will come back on you in the next, not because of the action, because of the guilt.
Well, also you've got psychic cords, so when you do something, you literally link yourself to that something.
Oh, sure.
And that energy, whether you feel guilty or not sometimes, will come back. Get yours. See, that's the thing. So it'll come back on the roost. It's not really punishment. It's just yours. I mean, it's just something you sent out there.
See, some people, I agree somewhat with that, but also again, that kind of goes too much for me back to like punishment, because some people, will say, well, what exactly is a wrong action? And to me, it has to do with the emotion. To me, it has to do with what type of energy was involved.
Alignment is kind of what I say.
So I think, I think that certainly if you send out a lot of negative energy and, that happens, something that's going to draw it back in some way. Okay.
Because if you listen to the Cayce book, since we're talking about, he talks about, when you're going back and forth or get through lifetimes, the reason why I say that is you're kind of right. Your soul, your higher self knows what it needs to correct.
Right.
So it's going to correct it through those lessons that you learned through these lifetimes. Man, this stuff's hard to explain.
It is, because we have this morality system. The universe isn't moral. The universe doesn't care about right or wrong. Okay. It's really not a moral system. Karma, you have to divorce karma from morality. You just have to. Okay? If, there are just too many things involved. Okay, for instance, if you kill someone, does that create negative karma? Well, what if it was in battle? What if it was someone trying to hurt you? What if, there are all sorts of different circumstances that you could say yes or no. It's not a moral system, and it really doesn't matter how you feel about it. Like how you see someone else. Oh yeah, they're going to get bad karma because they did this thing.
It's a balance thing.
It's a balance thing. Okay. Here's the best way I can explain it.
That's how go ahead.
You get back who you are. So if you are a person that hurts people, then that is what you attract, not because it's a punishment type of thing, but because that is the type of person you are.
Energy will balance itself.
Energy will balance.
Granted, hurting someone in battle is going to be a little bit different balance than hurting someone just because.
I actually don't think you'll get any kind of karma from hurting someone in battle, because look at the Bhagavad Gita. It was all about battle, and sometimes it's good.
I agree.
I actually don't think it's about balance at all. I think it's about attracting who you are. Yeah. If you are a person that is hurtful, then you attract hurtful things. If you are a person that is impoverished, you attract impoverished things. If you are a person who has things removed from them, has things stolen from them, that is what will happen. Okay?
Yeah, because when I say balance, I don't mean I don't even know how to explain it.
I know, it's really tough. It's really tough.
I don't even mean like an exact scale. I mean the balance of the situation. So if you're in battle and that the balance is not really disturbed, then you don't get anything back.
Right.
But if you raid that man's village, it just sort of depends.
Yeah.
And that's why it's hard for me to explain. Because I've had someone try to have me explain it to them a good while ago, because we were talking about when to do a spell, when not to, and it's like, and I mentioned the word balance, and they said, well, what do you mean by balance? And then I said, I don't know how to explain this.
Right.
I don't know what to do, exactly. But it's that kind of balance.
That's why I'm really trying to be careful here, because we tie it to morality so much.
Yeah, we do.
I'm really trying to divorce it from that. So my favorite way of looking at it is you get back who you are, no matter what.
Yeah, I like that.
If you're living as your pure soul essence, you're not going to get back unpleasant things. I don't want to say bad things. It's going to be the moral judgment. You're not going to get back unpleasant things. Okay. So we kind of see karma as this judge, this, moral thing. It's just not. It's just a way of, you attracting exactly what you put out there. When you put out there, again, this woman saying, I don't want to be touched, that was an amoral action. It was not good or bad, but it ended with a result. So that's why I don't like balance, because I don't think balance can explain that situation. She said, I don't want to be touched. Universe said, okay, here's psoriasis.
Yeah, here's psoriasis.
Here's psoriasis. There you go.
Here's psoriasis. There you go.
That was who she was. That was what she held on to. That is what she put out there. And so the universe responded in kind. And that is what she got. I mean, you could be in battle and say, I just love hurting people and killing people. And that's the type of person you are. And so you will get that kind of stuff in return. You could be a person in battle who says, I hate that I'm having to do this, but I'm doing it for my country, whatnot, blah, 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 whatever. And so it's for a just cause. And so you won't get any negative feedback from that, right?
Especially once you cleanse. No, you're right.
So that's just how it works for me. It's a tough thing. It's really tough to explain how that works, but that's how I see it. So karma is not, I don't want you to see it as error. I don't want you to see it as sin or as some sort of negative judgment or a reward punishment system. It's basically another word for law of attraction, just across lifetimes. That's really what it is. If you could just see it as that's really just another word for law of attraction in a broader sense.
I like that. Okay. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I do like getting back who you are.
Just getting back who you are.
I always have a hard time with I don't know why the word balance pops up for me as still a good bit.
It's often explained in that way, but
and I think for me, I got it from the feel of, you need to make sure that you are between you and whatever situation. There's a kind of an equal bridge of energy so that it's stable. So I guess that's sort of why I've interpreted it that way. But yeah, your way is the getting back who you are is good. Because I remember there was one thing I read about where someone, I think it was over love, betrayed somebody, told the Romans that they were Christian, and they fed them to the lion. And she watched her and whoever it was. I think it was Edgar Casey's past lives. Watched while this happened,
yeah,
and I think it might have been she felt guilt. I don't remember, but I remember she had to actually repair that, and it took her several lifetimes to repair that.
right, exactly.
Getting some people fed to the lions. Ooh,
Sure,
man, that's
sure. Well, that's
horrifying.
Yeah, and sometimes guilt is really hard to deal with too.
Ooh.
Guilt's a tough one, So it's just hard. Now, you could theoretically come from a place where all your actions are from your core, and it doesn't mean all of them will be beneficial to everyone in your life because, not everyone is doing something that's favorable to even themselves, but it could incur no negative consequences to you because you're living from your core. Even if sometimes it looks like, what is that? Like if it's hard to come up with examples that are really not heavily moral, but
it really is, isn't it?
If you're living from your core,
Philema,
you're not. Yeah, every man and woman is a star.
I always liked that one. That was how I explained it recently last time to someone. I said, if I'm following my own star, then I'm fine. Then if you get hurt in the bargain, then you just do. It's your fault.
It's your thing.
I'm actually following my own star. I can be doing whatever. And I explained this to someone recently last time. So I kind of like that definition of karma a good bit, using that because it's like, well, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I really am not going to have any backlash. As long as I'm not interfering with anyone else. The moment I start interfering with someone else, if it's outside of my sphere,
your orbit,
then I'm wrong.
Right.
Or I don't know, wrong. I don't know if it's a bad word.
No, you're going to get unpleasant consequences.
Yeah.
You're going to attract not so nice things. Right. So that is exactly how it works. We are stars, we orbit, we have our orbit, and if you stay in that orbit, then everything you do is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Period. No matter what it looks like, no matter whatever, everything you do is perfect. That's what you should strive, and that's why I've encouraged everyone lately to connect with your core and live from that and do what is joyful to you and do what you really want to do, and that's it. That's no one can fault you for that, but that's the big thing you have to do. So the last thing though is, people might say, well, it's good. Okay, I have karma from past lifetimes. I have resistance that comes from past lifetimes. What can I do about that? That's a tough one, because not everyone has access. We've been doing this for thousands of years. We don't all have access to like past life regression all the time, right? Sometimes you don't have to do anything about it. It's just good to be aware of this, I think. And, just to know this is what's happening. It could be from a past life. But I think, sometimes, like I'm trying to implement this in my coaching more now. Especially if someone has resistance that's really tough, that really just doesn't seem to have any source in this life, or just even though we've worked through stuff, doesn't seem to want to leave. Maybe it's from a past life. Maybe going back to that can help. So, coaching with someone such as myself who can work with that kind of thing can be very helpful.
And he is a certified past life regression therapist.
Yep.
So he's really good.
So that can definitely help. But a lot of times, just the normal techniques that we always recommend can do a lot. You just work at that, and that's But that can really explain why things are going the way they are in your life, even though they don't seem like they should, But those techniques will definitely help. If it doesn't, then I would recommend either, seeing someone that can help you with that, or just asking the universe or your guides or whatnot, hey, does this stem from something? Can you show me what that might be? You might start having dreams. You might start having random, like a vision of something, or things that come up in your everyday life. Just be open to that happening and revealing what the source of this resistance is. I think that can definitely help as well. And your higher self, your guides, the universe itself wants to help you deal with this. That's what life is for, is dealing with this stuff, So it wants to help you deal with that. So if you invite it to show you, it will show you. That's what it does, right? So that's, if you do that, then it will find a way to show you. And that could be, again, a meditation, in a vision, in a dream, in random stuff in life, or with a coach, or whatever. There are lots of ways the universe can show you, but it will find a way to show you. So I would invite it, okay, if I have this really tough piece of resistance, please show me what the source of this is. Please show me how to heal this. Even when I'm working on a tough goal, what I'll do a lot of times, even if I don't necessarily think it came from past life or something, the resistance, but I'll say, hey, this is the goal I want. Help me to know how to heal the resistance that's keeping me from it. Helping to know what I need to do to get it. And almost all the time, that it will help a lot. So you can ask the universe to help you and guide you with that. And it definitely will. Or if you have a deity of your choice or whatever, you can ask them. But that can definitely help if you do that. So that is everything for today. I think this is a very fascinating topic. Lots of stuff involved with it. And so hopefully that clarifies things for everyone. But again, if you would like to see the show notes for this podcast, read the transcript, or leave a comment, you can go to cocreationcoaching.org/create024. And if you would like to subscribe to us on iTunes or rate or review the podcast, you can go to cocreationcoaching.org/create-iTunes. So I hope that everyone enjoyed this discussion today. I certainly did. And we will see you next weekend with a different topic. So I am Brandon Oliveras.
And I'm Christine Oliveras.
And I'm Justin Williams.
Anything is possible.